Simplicity. Why haven't I thought of this before? Of course, simplicity. This is what I crave. This is what I want. This is what will make me happy. This is what I need to sustain a healthy state of being. Simplicity. The very opposite of what I seem to be and what I seem to engage with on a daily basis. I don't know if it's like a romantic idea to be complex. It must be some type of weird, convoluted, like trope to want to be seen as complicated, whatever else. It must be. Because I feel like that's something that I just kind of embraced before. Obviously, there are negative aspects to being either a complicated person or just living your life in a complicated way, which I think only a complicated person would do. Life has its own complications enough where if you could simplify as much as you possibly can, why wouldn't you? I talked about nature and nurture recently, and so that kind of enters this conversation a little bit. If you haven't checked that one out, you probably should go back a couple weeks and check that out, because that would just add to this whole thing. Because the complexity that I am, I don't know how much of that is in my control and how much of it isn't and whatever else. So I can just work with what I can work with and attempt to change things and use this word simplicity and simple to kind of make it a positive thing. For me and a lot of people in my curated circle of acquaintances and friends and people close to me, simple is usually a word that would have a negative connotation to it when we're referring to someone who's maybe simple-minded and stuff like that. I've had conversations before about, ignorance is bliss, and how, like, there's just this thing in me that just can't seem to, like, my natural state of being. It's not about being, like, incredibly intelligent and smart. It's just about the fact that with overanalyzing things and reflecting so much, I've talked about how that's a detriment before and how that can be negatively impactful. Also, there's positives to that as well. But when I'm so aware of what is happening around me or my own feelings or whatever else, it doesn't give me a lot of room to be, well, blissful or happy or whatever. I mean, that's not true. No, it is. It doesn't give me a lot of room because of the person I am currently and have been for quite some time, that with all these things that I am seeing and taking in and processing, that I can't seem to navigate it and process it within myself and still maintain happiness and healthy mental emotional states. I'm very functioning. It's not like my mental and emotional states are not like in such dire stress or in need of such a change that I can't function and continue to live life as a productive member of society. But it's just that I don't feel the way I would like to feel, which is a lot happier, more peace of mind. Getting back to this word simple. So, there are two things. I feel, again, of course, like I'm jumping all over the place and going off the rails. The way this got brought up was, I think it was in the, no, okay, where do I start? So, yesterday I had a really not good day, a very bad day, and things were not going well, and I had a child smile at me, and this 3-year-old child, she lights up just my life, and I love her, and she loves me. And I had this moment yesterday. I was like, man, it's really messed up that this child can give me this relief, that this child can bring me this joy in these dark times, because that's not something that I was familiar with. I was really foreign to that concept. Again, a while ago, like, children weren't something that I was seeing in my life as something I would ever have. And so to have this thing and just be like, here is this human that inadvertently through no intended desire is doing something to make me happy, to give me reason to smile, to lighten my burden. And then I realized what that was. And I was just thinking, like, now I understand and realize why I love this child so much. Innocence. That's what I ended up expressing this to someone else. And I was saying innocence is what it is. It's the fact that even when this child makes mistakes, they are a child. They are 3 years old. They are in such a state of newness and learning and everything that even the mistakes that they do make aren't worthy of anger, or like the intention isn't there. The intention is not there behind these mistakes. Like, whatever these mistakes may be, I don't even go into details, but I mean, like, it's not like her intended purpose is like to be selfish and pull one over on me, or like doing other things that are very hurtful to other people. Like, you know, whatever it may be, that isn't her intention. She has no comprehension of that. So this innocence that you know, I get to witness and be a part of and like assist in learning and whatever else, like, I just realized that is why I can pour so much love into this being, is because I guess I have this issue with, man, this is a whole other topic, with being disappointed, with having certain expectations, with people not living up to standards or things or situations or whatever it is that aren't living up to whatever my expectation may be. Not saying that's a whole, like I said, it's a whole other topic of how I need to adjust myself, my expectations of people. However, this right now, for the most part, is like a very appropriate expectation or standard that I have of this child, and I'm just realizing this is what it is. Like, I just kept using the word innocence. That again, there's no intended harm being done or selfishness or just things that eventually, they're human traits, right? Like human things. But I mean, they're things that are really difficult for me to not take personally in my relationships when people do those human things. So I just had this moment, and again, I was speaking about it to someone else, and they said, oh, I think what you're really, I don't remember how they worded it, but they basically said, you know, what you're really craving is simple, is simplicity. I think that is this connection. I was like, that's the word. Like, it's just that one word that I just needed. That's totally what it is. It's the fact that our connection, our relationship is simple. I provide her with a lot of her needs. I do things that just whatever, whether they're social needs or even academic needs. It's like physical needs, whatever it is. Like, that is a relationship we have. I give, and she has a way of giving back that's completely incidental and not. I mean, it's in her nature, not in her intention, because that just isn't really something that's developed yet, right? So, our relationship is so simple. That is why I have like an episode a long time ago about conditional love and how I don't think unconditional love is real. Again, something else that might need to get checked out. But anyway, it like borders on that in a way, but it's just because the relationship is so simple. There isn't all these human things that happen that can weigh our relationship down. Like, I don't have trust issues with this child, with this human. With my relationship with this human is different than any relationship I've ever had with another human being before. because I've never had a relationship with a child this young. Like, I've never had, like, I've been around babies. I've been around, people's nieces and nephews or cousins or younger children. I've been around them, but I've never had a relationship, let alone a strong relationship, let alone the role that I'm in the relationship we have with each other and the needs that I provide and how she sees me and how I see her. All that stuff is so simple. Like, I don't know, like, I think it's inevitable that relationships get complicated because people are complicated. Some relationships are a lot simpler than others, that's for sure. But like I was just saying, like, trust, that's a huge thing that complicates relationships. Lack of trust, any type of relationship I'm talking about, not just romantic relationships. That it's just like lack of trust complicates things to such a degree, and I don't have that with her because I'm not able to have a lack of trust with her. She has no concept of how to abuse trust. She doesn't know what trust is. She doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, she's not willingly doing anything like really positive or negative for the most part. It's just existence. She's just plainly existing. That's it. And then I respond to that. And like I said, I take care of her and whatever. Like, that the relationship is so simple. That is the reason I can have. It's not like it's a joy being around her 24/7. That's not it. And that's like that's not what I'm saying. Because sometimes, obviously, she's 3 years old. Sometimes she can just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And you're like, man, I just need some peace and quiet. Like, there's times where obviously a 3-year-old might be able to annoy you a little bit. Or maybe there's times where 3-year-olds make mistakes. Whether, they're learning social cues with other children and maybe they go over the line and they bully a child without really, or just like being rude or, arguing, or like, I mean, even at this stage, because she is able to speak and starting to form her own feelings and opinions and understanding that, she can talk back or verbalize, I don't want to do that thing, or I don't like that, or whatever, right? Like, it's not like everything is perfect. That's not what it is. But it is simple because it is because she is innocent, because she is not able to really be that complicated as a child that age. Therefore, a relationship is not complicated. Like, there's a very simple give and take. There's a very simple set of expectations from each other. And just for some reason that just opened my eyes to, like, when my friend said, like, oh, it's simplicity. That's what it is that you're like needing or craving or that's what you're responding to. It just opened my eyes to the fact, like, yeah, dummy, idiot, of course it is. And this made me think of other things. It made me think of how can I simplify my life in other ways. I don't know. This is like the very beginning of this, because I know that there's a lot with me that is incredibly complex, and I want to simplify things in a lot of ways. That would be better. I mean, I like to streamline things when it comes to being efficient and organized and whatever. That's already kind of in here as to the way I want to conduct my life. I just never really thought of the word simple before. Sometimes organizing things can be incredibly complicated depending on how you do it. Made me think of this song by Lynyrd Skynyrd called Simple Man. Now, I'm not really a Lynyrd Skynyrd fan, and I don't want to even go into the political side of Lynyrd Skynyrd, but I mean, songs without the context of the artist I can enjoy, and Lynyrd Skynyrd can play a mean guitar, and I really love Southern-style riffs. Why am I talking about this? Anyway, I actually heard the song as it was covered by the Deftones quite some time ago. That is what introduced me to that song. And that song has always been a weird space for me because it's kind of like from a father to son. And so this father imparting this onto his son, being like, what, like saying, I want you to be a simple man because I want you to be happy. And that's not a song that I avoid. Sometimes I'm just not in the place where I feel I'm not in the mood to listen to it. But I mean, there's something about it that I enjoyed lyrically, and I mean musically and stuff too as a whole. But there was that word had been introduced to me before in this context of like simple equals happy. And again, that's something that I really want to focus on in the present and future, very near future. I'm trying to simplify my life and reorganize this word in my vocabulary and the way I use it to be something more positive, to be something that I can strive for, simplicity. Why wouldn't I want my relationships and everything else to be simple? I have lived other lives in a way where I complicated things for myself, and I knew that because I was trying to attain, shadow happiness and short-term solutions and negative coping mechanisms and all that stuff that I've talked about before at length. And I recognize that obviously that doesn't lead to real happiness, but I'm making the connection between those things being complications, very obvious ways I can complicate my own life, to how simpleness is really what I want. I feel like I, more than some other people, am by nature more prone to just being a complicated individual internally. I can try to control my relationships with others and how I express myself and conduct myself in a more simple manner in order to have simpler relationships. That is something I can work on. And obviously, even as my relationship with myself, I can attempt to make simpler. There are just some things by nature, like being anxious and overanalyzing and things like that, that are not very conducive to just being simple and living simply. It is something that I recognize I can do something about in some way, and that is what I'm going to strive to do. Sometimes it's just a simple word. Sometimes it's just a word that can spark for me an entire realization and thus a new method of living to attempt. We'll see you on another time.